Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am back from my conference and very excited. So, unfortunately, most of the content that I learned at Microsoft for MVP Summit is under NDA, so there's very limited bits that can be shared. But what I can tell you is the Build conference is going to be awesome. So, on that note, for people who are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, Microsoft Build. Microsoft has two kind of big conferences every year, Build and Ignite. Build is slightly more developer focused. Ignite is a little more, um, I don't know what to call it, sysadmin ops focused a little bit more. But those lines are blurry, right? So you'll get a little bit of both at each. But Build does tend to be the more heavily developer focused conference. In Seattle, May 19th through 22nd. Do not know if I will be in attendance or not. I have submitted to be there, and we will find out. So I've got both a session talk I've submitted, and I've offered to work it as well. So we will see. I should know in the next few weeks if I'm going to be there or not. But if you're going to be there, drop me a line, and we'll see about finding it out. Next thing on the agenda, and I guess actually here's what we can. I will just drop this in build.microsoft.com in case anybody's interested in it. There is a new video out on GitKraken's YouTube that I produced for them. The Git GUI showdown. So I did a video of this a couple of years ago. Where it was, comparing GitKraken to a bunch of other Git GUI clients. Again, I'm a heavily biased source. GitKraken is obviously my favorite. For anybody who has watched this stuff, I love it. I think it is awesome. They asked for an updated version, adding a few additional clients in there. Short version, if you'd like to go take a look at it. I still like GitKraken. And we'll take a look at some of the reasons here in a moment. But there was a couple interesting things in there that I was unprepared for. Git Butler is a very interesting client that kind of it made my head spin a little, but it has the potential of being pretty cool. I didn't personally think that I was ready to use it or switch over to it, but it's an interesting concept. So if you want to go see more, GitKraken's YouTube video. Check it out. I was told aim for 20 minutes, so I clearly am bad at following directions. But they published it anyway, so my 20-minute target ended up being a little bit more. I tried to expand last time. I didn't feel like I gave a lot of the clients their due share in terms of kind of walking through some of this stuff. Some of them had a lot more to show than others. Some of them are really just straight Git clients and that's it. So, but yeah, short version. If you want the summary, you can always jump to the final thoughts at the end if you are interested in kind of how things closed out. That is not the final thoughts is not completely accurate. Where does it get to the actual final thoughts? Yeah, so if you want the actual final thoughts, somewhere around 45-36. When it goes full screen, my face. That's where the actual final thoughts are. I'm guessing the auto things it merged the last couple together. It looks like. So, but on the note of GitKraken, so GitKraken released 11.0, and it is awesome. Well, I think it's awesome. So specifically, you'll note there is something here, and I want you to pay very close attention to this symbol here. This is the happy magic button. Okay. So GitKraken AI, and so obviously everybody is throwing in all excited on AI related stuff, and so this is GitKraken bringing their own flavor of it. One of the really nice things about it, if we dive in and look at the GitKraken AI, so we scroll, blah blah blah, ignoring this. So by default, you don't need to bring your own key, right? By default, they use their own server that feeds out to Gemini. And so there is no API key required. Now, with that said, at present, they have OpenAI. Let me try that one again. OpenAI and Anthropic. So if you would prefer to bring your own key, that is possible. I will also mention this feature is pro and higher SKUs. So this is something that, because there is some cost associated with it, the pricing model is something that should be noted. So you'll note the free column is over here on the left, and you'll note this blank section where the AI is on the other ones. That's not there. But the other kind of cool thing here is the tokens are per week, right? So per week, per user, depending on how many you have. With the idea being that if it's like monthly and you run out, you're then kind of just dead in the water for the rest of the month. Whereas this, it's going to reset every week. And so it feels more encouraging to just use it, right? It's less one of those, oh, I've got, like, those people in video games where they find out, oh, this is a limited resource, and they just hoard it. Like, nah, this is something that's going to reset every week, so use it, right? It feels video gamey to me in that regard, which is kind of nice. But these are AI tokens. So for people who are unfamiliar with this, conceptually, just kind of count words, right? The more you type, the longer the text is, the more it's going to have to process and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of coming soon. You'll note they've got the preview tag on a lot of these. So this is something that is under active development, and in typical GitKraken features set, right? They often push things monthly. So there's only so much you can get in between releases, and it's usually one of those things that's going to build and build. So I would expect to see a lot more in this area, because this is the cool new hotness. So we will take a look specifically at a couple of these, because they're so easy to show off, right? But you got commit message generation and explain commits. I did not think that the explain commits would be as useful as it has turned out to be for me. It probably was a little bit around some of the tasks that I was given, but I had to evaluate some code bases that I was not familiar with. And it was remarkably nice to be able to just say, yeah, write the summary of this for me. Because that's effectively what the explain commits is summarize some commits for me, right? So, for example, right, like I've got this commit here. There's a bunch of stuff in here. It's like, okay, well, what did this do? Hit explain. Right? And for people worried, the first time you click this button, it does prompt you and say, hey, just so you know, we are sending code out to an AI agent, or make sure the thing that you're doing it is doing it. And you'll note here, this is written in Spanish. I do not speak Spanish. But that's the other cool part, right? So there are, for example, you can do things like this. Custom instructions. And as far as I can tell, these appear to just get tacked onto a prompt that gets sent out to GitKraken's API that is then fed into Gemini, as far as I can tell. I don't know, but if you were to hypothetically sniff the traffic going between your client and their server, you might see the full prompt with the custom instructions tacked on at the end, probably right after a $. Hint, hint. But the other nice thing is, if you're wondering what your usage details are, they're just right there, right? So it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And you can turn this sucker on and off if this is not right, or if you want to go with the bring your own key model, you can drop in here, and then you can actually, pick out what you'd rather go against instead, if that's more your cup of tea. But by default, they're using Gemini behind the scenes. So if you don't want to, if you're like, I don't have my own OpenAI account, I don't know about all that stuff, do I really need to go and open? If the answer is like, nah, just give me the easy stuff, you check the box and be on a pro tier or better, which I am running on, and I realize my big head is blocking it, but I'm on a higher SKU GitKraken. So if I show features off that don't exist on yours, just know that I'm kind of running on a bigger one, right? But if we go into our preferences, GitKraken AI, we can wipe out the write it in Spanish bit, right? We'll hit regen, and we'll think for just a moment. And look at that. You wonder why it put extra spaces there. It's like there's, oh, just based on this, it looks like there's an element there that is just not rendering. I did play around a little bit with this. There's a handful of things that are cool and a handful of things that I wasn't overly thrilled with. It doesn't seem like the commit generation has access to the branch name in all cases, which is kind of annoying. But it does have access to issues if you create your branch from an issue. So there's some interactions there I'm not I haven't fully wrapped my head around, because I immediately tried to abuse this to say, shoot, my team has some formats that they really like their commits and stuff in there, and so it was kind of neat. So that's at least the explain button. Again, happy sparkles are your friend. Um, they also did this weird gradient thing on all of the stuff that's AIE. So it's very colorful. If you're on a light theme, I'm sorry, kind of hard to see. Yeah, other feedback I had. But I think most like default dark theme looks fine. It's just a little like that gradients on a light theme, like gradients themselves are kind of hard to do well for text. So I usually tell people to avoid them. But you know, they make things pretty. They make things pretty. So yeah, so that is the GitKraken AI stuff, and I would expect to see more in the future, because it is the hotness, and it is kind of cool to see it going. I secretly have a passion, and I keep saying this in places, hoping that somebody will steal this idea and make the tool for me. Everyone wants AI to like summarize commits and do all of that stuff. What I really, really want instead, I want an AI that will intelligently group changes in a PR for me. Right? That's what I want it to do. I don't want it to summarize the changes. I want it to make intelligent groupings of the changes in a PR so that I can review the PR more quickly. That is my dream. I don't care who makes this tool. I want that tool, because quite often when I'm reviewing a PR, that's what I care about, is categories of changes. Right? That's the order I want to review them in. So hopefully somebody watches this, and hopefully somebody steals that idea and builds the tool. I would love, love, love to buy that tool from somebody. So I don't have time for another project, so I'm resisting the urge, and I'm hoping somebody, GitKraken, Microsoft, goes through and builds me this tool. I want it very badly. GitHub, I'll take any of you. All of you are perfectly positioned to give me this tool. Right? Everybody's building code review tools that, you know, will automatically review the PR for you. It's like, I don't want it to review the PR. I want it to intelligently group the changes so that a human can do the review. That is what I want. I want the copilot-y experience for code review. Don't want it to do it for me. I want it to make me more efficient. That's what I want. So that's what I'm hoping for. Okay. That was a long introduction. What are we doing tonight? What are we doing tonight? Okay, so I am on a quest. I am on a quest, and you all get to come along on the quest with me. So there has been a thing on Velopack that has plagued us for a while, and I think I've mentioned this before. Is an MSI-based Wix installer, and we did a stream on this a while back, and kind of scrapped that work and yada 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 for a variety of reasons. Right, we are back on it, and this time I've got a more or less working proof of concept. Right, so the idea here is we want to actually gen a real MSI installer, not the stupid MSI installer tool that Cloud Squirrel used to do, and that we brought in, and we're probably about to obsolete it just as quickly as we brought it in. Right, that's going away. We want a real MSI that just installs once, doesn't do this weird registry hacky stuff. That's yucky, yucky, yucky. We don't like that. We want a real MSI that gives the user the option of installing either per user or all users. It's an MSI, so sysadmins, if they want to do something funky with it, go to town, right? That's going to kind of be off. For V1, we're kind of nixing the idea of much extensibility. That may come in the future, but for now, we're like, we just need something in and working that gens a reasonably looking MSI that we can play with. Like that is the V1 that we are looking to have here, right? So that's what we're going for, and we are close. We are very, very close. So, and I apologize because I'm going to be showing a private repo for this. So, but it's my repo, so we can get away with this. So this is technically a repo I have for running full end-to-end tests for Velopack. It does it from the client all the way up to our backend SaaS and all forward and back and up and down, right? So it does some stuff, it has some stuff, but that's not what we're interested in. The whole reason why I picked this one is it's got a very simple console app that doesn't do a whole lot. And more importantly, that console app is already packed with Velopack. And so it makes it quick and easy for me to play around with it because I have copied in some of its publishy bits to where I want it to be. And then I've made this simple installer folder, which this is a Wix v5 setup, right? And then what I am doing is when I get it working here, I then migrated it to the main Velopack repo, because this is like me testing an MSI build is about that long here, and that's a lot quicker than doing it inside of Velopack. So I'm just trying to figure out how to get the Wix to behave the way I want here, and then we bring the stuff over, right? This is using the whole MS build stuff and all of that things inside of the actual Velopack repository. Like if I go and look at my view all branches. Yeah, oh, it's called MSI, not Wix. Right? If I go and look at what is actually over here, we look at the vendor. What we are actually bringing in instead is we are just going. We are bringing in the Wix exe tool, and we're just shelling out to that, because I did a MS bin log on what was going on with the .NET build stuff, and the MS build integration, though nice, isn't adding a lot of value for what Velopack needs. And more importantly, we would like to, at some point, kind of decouple Velopack from MS build. Not saying that we won't have like the Velopack.build project. That's, I think, a thing that we absolutely want to have. But we don't want to require somebody who's not using .NET to install .NET just to run our tool, right? We want the tool to be able to run without .NET. That way, if you're building, say, a C++ application, you're like, I don't have .NET installed. Why do I need this .NET global tool? It's like, well, you don't need a .NET global tool. You just need this CLI tool, and it will do the needful, right? So that's kind of the idea there. Not to say like .NET's a secondary citizen or any of that. Like, no. I still love my .NET. It's still my favorite. But there is something to be said about not having that be the only delivery mechanism. It's currently all we've got, but long term, we would like to push out the VPK tool onto various managers so that people can install it more easily without it being real problematic. It's like, oh, I've got to install this other tool chain. Like I always hate when I have to install, Node and NPM just to get somebody else's tool. It's like, ugh, I don't like that. It just feels yucky, right? I like win-git install. That's what I like. And so we kind of want to move that direction a little bit, right? And then, brew or whatever for insert your package manager of choice. So we'll probably try to push it out on all of them because VPK runs cross-plat. We want to be in the package managers on all said systems, yada, yada, yada. Right now, .NET Global Tools are a convenient way of doing that because we can do it once and it just goes to all of them. Long term, we want it to go to all of them. Okay. So, and more importantly, inside of the Velopack stuff, if anybody wants to check out my branch, it's not doing anything overly advanced. It's literally just building up a big string of the XML bits and then writing it to a file and calling Wix exe on it, which is functionally all this is doing, right? There's a little bit extra that happens here with this .NET build based upon if you've got like extensions installed. There's a little bit of magic that the Wix tooling does there to appropriately pass in extensions, but it's not that much. It's really not. So I was like, I don't need to add extra stuff if I don't want to. So I didn't. Okay. So if we run this guy here, what we have, I don't know why I keep opening up the other thing. So if I run this installer, right, and this is me just playing around with mucking with it, right, to be able to get things in and things like localization and that will be forthcoming. Again, we kind of scrapped it for V1 because we're like, we don't have localization now. We want it, but ship first, questions later. So this is one of the first things that we'd like to change. So this is fine. We're probably going to change the logo and whatnot in here to something that's like, we don't want people thinking that they're installing Velopack. We want them thinking that they're installing the needed app. So there's some branding work, but I was putting in custom images just to prove that I could. Right? And so this here is one of the things that we want to change is we don't really want it to be a folder picker. We really just want current user, all users, because there's kind of a handful of cases that we expect that exist there's the let the user pick, which is where we're going to give them the 2 radio buttons. And then there's the install my app for all users, install my app for current users. But those 2 are kind of developer controlled. And then there's the third option where the developer can say, well, let my user pick. I don't care. Right? Because sometimes the developer wants to set it, and sometimes the developer's like, no, whatever, right? Let the user can do whatever they want. Right? So we're gonna give, I think, those 3 options inside of the inside of the VPK tool to let people set it. But that's what we need to change here, because right now this is just going into here, right? It's got some README stuff, then it does an install. And so my game plan, because right now, cancel, yeah, cancel. Because right now the way this thing is set up is I have brought in a Wix UI, and let me go grab that. Oh, Wix UI, Firebase, gotten really good with their docs. Oh, Fire Giant. See, I'm so good with their docs, I can't even get the name right. Right, so I had initially started with something that resembled this one here, Wix UI Installer. And what I realized is they actually have this Wix UI Advanced, and more importantly, this one has a dialog that already has 2 radio buttons, one for current user and one for all users. Right, so GitHub Wix, and this is where things are going to get real yucky. You are not going to hear a lot of nice things out of my mouth about Wix. I'm sorry, Wix, but the reason people hate you is because the Windows installer stuff is complicated, and you don't make it easier. You just surface it. Which is why Velopack will be awesome. So if we go in, I believe it's here, and then let's see, I think it's extensions, and then it's UI, and then Wix extension, nope. Here, there we are. So if we come in here, there's this Wix scope dialog, right? And this is the one that the advanced UI ends up doing, right? And you'll see there's 2 radio buttons. It's got the per machine and per user folder. It's like, perfect. This is the dialog I want. And I initially ran down the idea of, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just bring this dialog into the current flow that I'm doing, because there's a step down here, because they show you how to add and removing dialogues from a dialog set. I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. I'd like to add one of these dialogues to a dialog set, right? Yeah, so the short version is adding and removing dialogues is insanely complicated. Like Wix is great if you fall into the perfect category where this aligns, and the moment you want to do something custom, the answer is literally go and copy this file out of the repo into your code base. I was like, oh, like I hate when I tell people to do that with the material design project for like a control template, where it's like, yeah, what you want to do is so custom, you really need to copy the control template in and tweak it to suit your needs, right? But I usually like, there's a level of customization where it's like, nah, people really should be able to, do some basic stuff here. This feels basic, and the immediate thing is bail. It's like, oh, dear heavens. Thank you, Wix. I appreciate your immediate confidence in it, right? So it's copy the file out, rename the IDs, remove, in this case, the publish elements of what it's going through and doing and trying to make that work, all to bring it back in. So I tried to bring the dialogue in, and this is where things get extra hard, right? So you'll note this install scope dialog, right? If we go here and we look down at the Wix UI Advanced, which is where this thing is, right? There's a few things in here that are real key to note, right? Like, those are kind of big deals in my opinion, right? So and this line here is the other key one. This set is still in active development. I'm like, this sucks, right? Like, this is not what I want. Like, I want it stable and useful and running, and like, use at your own risk. So the thing I want is not in a done state, or is in an active and fudgeable state, and that doesn't give me a lot of It explains why I was having some trouble. The other thing that gets worse, right, is I am looking at main. You should not look at main. Right? In the case of using 5.0.2, which is what we pulled in, you should actually look at the 5.0.2 branch. Because this is in active development, these are different. And I learned this the hard way. It was very frustrating. I did not realize that they had changed. I did not realize I was looking at main, and I was very confused for a while why things weren't working until I went, boy, that error message just doesn't align with what I'm seeing. Something seems off. Something is very, very wrong. And then I went, oh, I'm an idiot. Okay. Okay. Learn to use the branch select or the tag selector in GitHub, you moron. And so after my small pep talk, I then went through and did this. So I think what we're going to try to do, I think, we'll see how this goes. I had tried to just bring this dialogue into my other set, and everything went crazy. I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to try to walk through these steps again, but bring in this whole thing here, and then we're going to go to town on it. I think that's going to be the game plan. That's what we're going to try next, because I think that's much more. Oh, I don't want. Just want the fragment. I don't think I want the full Wix. Oh, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Stop it. I just want this. I don't want the Wix element. So we're gonna bring this in here, and I am on. Am I on a branch? No. Let's see. So Wix ADV v2. We're gonna try this. We're gonna just powwow here and see how this goes. And so step one, we're gonna come down here, and this is where we're gonna copy all of this over and paste. So that should get me something that resembles working, but now I have to change the IDs. I want to fix the URL of my comment, because I know I'm going to click on this later and be confused if I don't. So future Kevin thanks current Kevin for that. Okay, and then I don't want it to be Wix UI Advanced. I want it to be Wix UI Velopack instead, is what we're going for. We're going to come down here. Yeah. Izzy, welcome back. We are once again playing in your happy area. So, I thoroughly enjoyed the MVP Summit. It was wonderful. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that I learned and was shown was under NDA, so that part sucks. Oh, I forgot to announce something. The Microsoft Build Conference is going to be pretty good, and I should have mentioned this earlier for people as well. You can do the Build Conference free online if you just want to stream it. So people should sign up at minimum just to be able to stream sessions that look interesting to them. So at a minimum, go and do that. If you're able to be in person, there is a decent chance I will be in person. So if that's the case, drop me a line. There is another thing. I think it's on the schedule already. No upcoming events. Boo! Boo! Okay. I am speaking at the Spokane.net user group. I will drop a link here because this is where it's going to show up. But it's not posted yet. I will heckle Dan and inform him that he should post it, because I gave him the title. I am going to do the next talk, and it is, what day is it? They go every other month, so it's let's see here. I can't remember whether that lands us in May or June. It might land us in June. It might land us on June 3rd. I'll see. So regardless, there's many weeks between now and then. But the talk is going to be on, we'll call it, I'm trying to remember exactly how I titled it, but it's like C# through the ages, right? So it's going to start at C# v1 and kind of walk through each of the versions. I plan to go from C# 1 to C# 14, which you will note is V next. And the added bonus is the build conference happens between now and then. So everything that gets shown at the build conference, I can include in the talk, but C# is developed in the open, so there's not really that much like C# itself isn't that secretive. If anybody wants to go out and look at the C# Lang repo, like you can see what features they're looking at and what stuff is likely to drop in C# 14. So there's all that kind of cool stuff that is coming. So I plan on kind of hitting C# version highlights because I found that a lot of people get confused on features and why they exist, and I think showing them chronologically kind of helps make some sense of that. So I plan on putting that together. What version are we on now? I thought it was 10. So close. We are on C# 13 at the moment. .NET .NET 9 is current. .NET 10 is next, and so that is an unfortunate thing. At some point, I totally anticipate Microsoft just saying screw it, making the version numbers match. But there is a subtle difference. If we talk .NET, that's like BCL version and all that stuff, versus if we talk just C# language features, that C# 14 is coming up in November because they release it all the time. But yes, you were right. Currently, .NET 10 C# 14 is the vNext version. Unless they do something weird with their numbering. But if we just do increment, then yes, that's where we're going to land. But yeah, so good conference. Really enjoyed getting to meet up with a bunch of people, which I think that's the part that I enjoy the most, is being able to like sit down and just chat with a bunch of MVPs, which is usually really fun. It's always a little weird because there's times where they do like these social events, right? And this may come as a shock to some people, but a lot of developers are not known for their social skills. And this could not be more apparent than at like some of these conferences. And so I always get a good laugh out of it. Like, I don't think I'm completely antisocial, but I will say by the end of a long day of conferencing, I am very interested in not being social, and so I might be a little less social than I otherwise might be. I'll pull up. I did have one cool picture to show. See if I can grab it here. I did get like most places you weren't allowed to take pictures for obvious reasons, except for in designated spots. Sure, fine. But here's a picture of me with someone people might recognize. That's Scott Guthrie. If you're unfamiliar with who Scott Guthrie is, you should go look him up. But yeah, I got to get a picture with Scott Guthrie, so that was kind of cool. So yeah, because normally getting a picture with Scott Guthrie is usually very challenging, and the long lines are very long. At MVP Summit, the lines are still long, but not quite as long as they otherwise might be. Oh, and now Paint.net wants to update. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. Able to like say hi, shake his hand, get a picture. That was kind of cool. I'd be the person dressed in black trying to hide in the darkest corner with my laptop and a beer. See, you would have fit right in, Izzy. You would have fit right in perfectly. Because I will say, some MVPs are quite social. So one of the things that people often associate Microsoft MVP with like tech geniuses and that kind of thing. It's actually, and this is, hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying this. Being an MVP has nothing to do with competency, right? Like, you could be less competent, but there are Microsoft MVPs for like Office and Windows and other things, right? And so sometimes you'll be sitting in a talk and you'll get a question that comes out that at least from a developer perspective, is like a very novice question, right? Because some of these MVPs, the concept of like JSON and XML is a foreign concept to them. But it's like, you have to remember, these people may not be like dev technology MVPs. They might be for Windows or Office, and so some of this stuff might be brand new to them. So there is a little bit about that, because it's more about influence than it is around competency. Now, you obviously can't be completely incompetent, but having influence in areas is going to score more highly for a Microsoft MVP than otherwise. So there's a bit of that. And on that note, I am aware that my YouTube uploads are failing. Google hosed me again, so I have to completely redo what I was doing, which is just exciting me to death. Uh, I have no influence either. Yes, but you're at least interesting. And you do come with a variety of very useful skills. I will say that. And on the note of those useful skills, making Wix not suck. But I don't think that's actually possible. So I think that's just a lost cause. I think what I want to do here is I actually want to do this so I can see them. And then I want to just start replacing all of the IDs. My mommy says I'm special too. uh, I will say, Izzy, I did mildly contemplate when I was at my hotel of going, I wonder if I could if the internet speeds here were fast enough to stream. And then I realized I'm like, even if the internet speeds were fast enough at the hotel to stream, I don't like when I travel, I have my own private VPN that I stand up in Azure. So I leave it off most of the time. But whenever I'm out, and especially around like a tech conference where I'm literally surrounded by a bunch of people who I know many of them probably have the skills to do nefarious things on the internet. I absolutely jump my VPN because I'm like, you know what? Let's just not have that as a risk factor, and my VPN would not support streaming. Like it 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 barely handles the Netflix. Like because I run cheap tier stuff. On that note, if anybody wants to, let's see, build 5 nines, open again. Yeah, so if anybody is actually interested in doing something, if you want, so one, Chris Peachman is somebody who I actually do know, who is also an MVP, very good guy. But this is the basics for if anybody wanted to spin up their own VPN. And if you create it on the cheap tier that he calls out here, it's actually very inexpensive. Like you can run a conference all week long, and it's single digits in dollars. Um, I set mine up with like auto shutdown and whatnot. And I think it cost me like $1.50, like dirt cheap. And then it's a VPN in a situation that I control. You do want to be mildly cautious that like if you stand one of these things up, don't just like stand it up and not install updates and things like that because that's a bad idea too. But yeah, it is not hard to set up. It is not hard to configure. You can get the clients for your computer and phone and bippity boppity booyah. And OpenVPN is free for up to 2 concurrent devices. So if you've got a laptop and a phone, there's your 2 devices. And if you need more, they have very reasonably priced tiers as well. So, not sponsored by OpenVPN. I just think that they do a good job. Okay. Now, we've got that. We've got that. I want you to be fellow pack as well. I would like that to not suck. Okay, now this is where things may go belly up quick because this is where I think I want this to change because I think I want this to be target folder if I remember right. So we're going to build this and then we're going to try it and see what happens. Standard directory ID attribute target folder is not one of the target dir. That's my big head is probably in the way, but right. So that one, that's what I think I want. Target dir. I think I want target dir there, and I think I want target dir here. I think is what I want. It might be application folder. I don't know. And this is where things are going to get interesting because let's see. Property application folder name could not be found. Ensure you have the correct one, right? So application folder name. Okay. Grab that. Let's see. Didn't I define one in here somewhere? I'm probably going to start getting confused with all of the stuff that I've done. Let's see. So we need no copilot. That is not correct. Property ID. application folder name, and in this case, yeah, that sounds great. Thank you, Copilot. That'll work. Identifier property win app folder. Oh, right. This is the one that changes the default for where it goes. That's interesting, Copilot. I don't know why you came up with that, but I remember seeing this, and so you are now just losing your mind. So we're going to just comment these out, but I may end up wanting those in a moment. Because this guy here corresponds to, we go back to that dialog. We're going to leave that one open. Because if I go advanced, or the scope dialog, we come in here, this is the Wix app folder. And so it is looking to match one of these values inside of here. I believe this is what we are looking for. All scope dialog per user. So this is a localized string, but the values that we can specify are the Wix per user folder or Wix per machine folder. I think we're going to default to this. Go here instead. Okay. See if that gets me any closer. Okay, and now here we start running into all kinds of things that get weird. Okay. Duplicate property with identifier. Wix UI installer. Let's see. Global library files cannot. Sure, all your identifiers are unique. Did I? Huh? What did I do wrong here? Was got it. So this is actually what I want to use, right? Think. This is where things start to get confusing for me a little bit. How does it? Why am I running into conflicts? Because didn't I just tell it use mine, not theirs? That's why I'm confused as to how it knows to bring in the base stuff. Follow the reading. Oh, thank you, Izzy. Oh, oy vey. Might be a little big. How's that? Collapse this down. Put there, and then I will put myself hopefully out of the way. And I'll bring this guy up. So because we copied in the advanced one, and we changed the IDs. So I didn't change all of these IDs, and maybe I need to. Maybe I need to. Because a lot of these are showing duplicate. So how does it? I'm wondering if it's coming from this guy here. But I suspect this is the magical property that I am getting old. Oh, Izzy. I will say, so when I was talking with some colleagues about my C# through the ages talk, I made a comment that C# 1.0 was released January of 2002. And my colleague looked at me and goes, "What day?" I'm like, "Why?" Like, I need to know whether I'm older or younger than C#. I was like, "Oh my word." So, yeah. Yes, Izzy. Currently, everything is in one, and I'm gonna. I do have this localization WXL file, but yes, I have shoved everything into one big one at the moment. This is, just to be clear, this is my test area to figure out how to make. Once I know what the WXS is supposed to look like, then I go move it actually into the real Velopack stuff. But this is just my quick testing. Find all installer. Okay. So 23. So this one here is, let's see. Maybe I should clear this up and make sure I'm not getting. I think I'm losing track of which one's where. So let me do this. Get me a clean slate of errors. So the installer is here, and here is the first ones, right? I commented these ones out, so hopefully I can ignore those. Right? This one here, I think, needs to be changed to match Wix UI installer, I think. Because I think that's how it gets the output for where it needs to go. But the other thing that's new to me is the standard directory. I am not fully sure I grok how this is working. You probably shouldn't use Wix UI install. So probably should not, or should. I think the answer is should. Either that or I'm supposed to use application folder, but I don't think that is correct. Well, maybe it is. Because I'm also confused as to why it's convinced all of these things. Like, I think it's telling me to rename all these. Wix UI should be setting the normal installed directory value. Okay. That's kind of what I thought. And that's how I have the other one. So I have a version of this that is working now. But it's not using the advanced dialog. It's using the location picker dialog. And the one thing that I want, and maybe I'll do this real quick. If I stash this, right? So throw away my changes, right? If I go back to where I was, right, and rebuild. So this here is very similar to what I have currently working. So this, I know you probably can't tell the difference immediately. So highlights real quick. So this is based upon the, if I go back to the top, based upon the Wix UI installer dialog set. So I got that working, but I also I also copied in the full set of the changes, specifically so that I could go through and get rid of, or practice being able to get rid of like the license agreement dialog. Because in Velopack, if you don't specify a license file, we don't want a license agreement dialog. So this was me testing, figuring out how to go through and say, okay, just from the welcome dialog, how to skip it. And the install dir dialog was setting up the property for me, I thought, right? It was setting up the install dir, that this guy would then use, and that seemed to work-ish, but didn't. But yeah, there was questions, because this seems to always go to program files, because I said go to program files, and so that felt a little off. And and maybe this is this is the problem with some of these magical values, is you set the right ID and things happen, and I was trying to understand where they were going. Because my goal is to not have this install dir dialog. My goal is to have the what did they call the other one? The install scope dialog instead, which is just the two radio buttons. That way it will either install program files or install local app directory, because I want it to mirror what the setup exe does. And so my goal was to leverage, What I thought I wanted to do was take what I have here and go, oh, okay, I'll just bring that other dialogue into it. That didn't work. I ran into problems, and I can show you how, because I have that here. This was my attempt at that. Right, so once again, similar thing, where I was like, okay, let's get rid of the install dir dialog and go with the install scope dialog and try to get that working. And this compiles and builds an MSI, but regardless of which radio button I pick, it always just installs the C colon, which shockingly is not quite what I wanted. And I was like, this feels close because I just brought in the one dialogue I wanted, but I was struggling to figure out how to get the out. So and maybe you can answer this question for me. So I have mucked with this a little bit, right? So just to be clear, this is not what it is out on here, because this is where I had started from, and I can drop a link, right? So this is where I started from, and you'll note this is the 5.0.2 branch because that was the latest full release tag that they had out there, and that's the version of Wix exe I've pulled in. So along with relevant Wix UI extension package, NuGet package version. So this is where I had started from, where they had this application folder. I'm like, well, that's fine, but that didn't make sense to me on how to get that application folder out. And so I started playing around with things to try to figure out how to change it. And frankly, I couldn't figure out how to change it. But now that I say that, I am wondering if you may have just become a really good duck. Now that I say that, I'm wondering if this is actually supposed to be application folder. And down here, this is supposed to be UI installer, its value application folder. Wondering if that is the magical incantation that I was missing. And this is supposed to be installer. Again, I don't know, but we're going to try this. Now that I say that out loud, duplicate property. And this, okay, so I'm back into the same problem that I have on the other one, is I don't understand. Is it because of this that it thinks there's a dupe? No. Okay. This is where I'm mildly confused, and I'm wondering if Wix UI installer of maybe I should go back to checking this. So where else are you? This is using set target path. Oh, is this what I'm missing? Oh, I wonder if that's my problem. Make it VP installer. Okay. But this is, oh, I might be getting, okay. You're saying if I do something like this, right? And then, because I'm realizing the previous, oh, I may have missed this before. The previous code that they have out here, they have their install scope stuff, right? And then when they go next, they either go to the features dialog or the install dialog or the installer dialog. But if they go to the features dialog, they eventually go to the installer dialog anyway. And this is the one that's actually calling set target path. Oh. Because I don't actually want to let install dir dialog pop. I am not calling set target path anywhere. And I probably need to be calling set target path in here. Oh, is that the magical incantation that I've been missing? here, here, the target path. I have a strong suspicion. Set target path method. Then the target path changes the path specification in the directory and the directory table. Also, the paths are either the properties for each. They're updated paths retreated. Therefore, it is safe to treat errors returned from this function as non-fatal. Do not attempt to configure the target path if the component using those paths are already installed to the current user or for a different user. Check the product state. Got it. Ha 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 ha. I have a feeling this is exactly what I was missing. Is that okay. I think I accidentally did the wrong thing. And I think I want this. I think I want this. And I think I want this. And I think I want this to be application folder. Because that's going to be set based upon these two values here, per user folder and per machine folder. I don't think I need this anymore. Then I think it just works. Yeah? Maybe? Well, if it did. I will have you know I may have been banging my head against this problem for a while. Okay, so here, we go here, go launch. Now we get something like this, right? Okay, so default fell down to here. We're going to go up to here. Don't care where. Oh, boo. Executed prematurely. So hang on. Where did it fail out? There. The installer encountered an unexpected error. This may indicate a problem with the package. Error code is 2872. So, did that say? So the installer encountered an unexpected error installing this package. This may indicate a problem with the package. The error code is 2872. That is a load of worthlessness. Go here. Let's see. Wix error code 2872. Oh, great and powerful AI overlords. Such as a missing control, invalid property, or an incorrect event configuration based on the provided potential. Nope. No. This one. No. So let me help you, Copilot. If you're gonna help me, let me at least give you the context that you need. So break that for a second. Go here. Let's see. This line is cause a error when run. How fix? Do-do-do. Not 100% that that's correct, but we're gonna try this just to see for a moment because Windows installer service failed to start. I have learned that error message means the file's locked, you moron. So if you have Orca opened or anything that will lock the MSI file, application folder not install folder. Well, what I thought. I'm also wondering if the duplicated, because this had order 1, that could have also been related, but we'll try this and see. That's not, okay. Next. 2872. Okay. Go back. I would have expected the property to be here, right? Because order of operations, right? Order 4, order 5, order 6, right? So this thing comes in here, and based upon all users, um, checks the Wix app folder. The next line down, and this is so I'm just reading how I interpret this. If I've read it misunderstood this, please correct me. Right. So this guy here sets the Wix app folder. This sets the all users property based upon the value of the Wix app folder, right? Which toggles with the radio buttons. Based upon the value of this Wix app folder. Like, I don't know that I need all users, but it seems to be used further down, so I think I do. Based upon the value of the Wix app folder, we also have similar conditional checks here, right? Checking against those that are then setting the application folder based upon the value of these properties, right? These properties are defined in the base Wix bit, which I can show you in just a second. I assume then application folder is a property, and its value is used to set target path. And then the last event is to go through and set the new dialog. Now, okay, let's try that with application folder. I think that gets me. Let me look here real quick, because before this was setting Wix installer previously. This is change folder on the browse property. That's not it. Yeah, because this is setting application folder, and then I'm just missing something. But let's give this a try, and then just confirm that we still get the 2872. So if we, this is where I'm wondering if there's something expected in one of these dialogues that I'm not aware of that is biting me. Because what I'm missing here is in this flow. If we specify the per user folder, it goes straight to the features dialog, right? That's the next dialog. This guy gets shown. Um, and then based upon some conditions where our back directory is going to go, right? And then where's the next dialog from the features dialog? Am I missing something? Shouldn't it have a next button on one of these? Where's the action up here? I want, because this is where I'm wondering if these custom actions are what need to end up getting set, right? Because this is where I assume when it's using the Wix per user folder, Wix per machine folder, I assume that it's able to reference these values. Custom actions, set per user folder, application folder. Oh, are these actions? Oh, I wonder if these are what I'm. Oh, if these are what are expected to be invoked that aren't being invoked before. Okay. Action install and application folder equals and all. And this is why I think I needed to set all users. Because it's expecting to set this stuff up. This is what I was. Okay. Wix set per user folder. And I am wondering if one of these things is expected to this install execute sequence. So application folder. Because I've brought this sucker in, I think I want this to be application folder. And then I think I want this to be Wix UI installer, I think. Well, but this is setting the target path from the, so installer dialog. I want to go look at the installer dialog because I think this guy here, yeah, this guy here is setting up a folder of Wix UI installer. So that's where this guy is getting its value from. That's where he gets his value from. So who pre-populates this? Change folder. With okay, okay. This is starting to make a little bit more sense because this guy here previously existed but no longer exists. I need to make sure this exists. Okay, so up here, let me just check what we've done here. So on install Wix UI validate path. All right, so this gets done here. That is in there. Helicopter right outside my house, and it is being very noisy. I doubt anyone can hear it, but it is. Can me question how low to the ground it is flying. Okay, so this was install dir, control next, do action, validate path. So when you hit next after the install dir dialog, in condition do not validate path, this guy here was set now. That was happening. Validate path. Okay, I think path browse dialog. Validate path. Dialog features dialog. So go straight to here. This goes to the features dialog. So in this case, if you do per user, it jumps the install dir dialog and goes straight here. So it would skip the other dialog. So it would skip it in the case of per user. Down here, not installed and per user. This would send it back to there. Features dialog. Why does this not show a next on it? Welcome. Something seems like I've missed something in here from what I copied over. Okay, so dialog next. Dialog. I must be missing as to how this thing's set. Let me look at what does it do in the latest RC2. They updated it in here. All their dialog on next. Does 3 publishes. Do action. And I think I want that, but I want to set it up on the scope one. And I want the set path on there, order 3. I don't know if that impacts that. This is 1, 2, 4. So it's do action, spawn dialog. Something here. Alter dialog. This guy here. Okay, so I think what I think is I want to ensure that things all occur, but I want them all to occur on this dialog instead. And its next button is pressed. Validate path. Yeah, so 1, 2, 4. So we don't need this anymore. And then we have a thing here. So install dir dialog. Install dir dialog. This line here to end up on my guy here. This guy is going to end up here, but we're going to need to change the order of these things because this was being set late. So I don't think I want this. I think before he was a 3, which was putting him 1, 2, 3. And now I actually want to start my number counting at 6. This should go 6, 7. It becomes 8, 9. This guy down here becomes 8. And this. It seems weird that some, like, I don't understand the relationship publishes. Okay. That goes like there. I realize this is generating separate ones, and it's probably for this validate path. But couldn't I put all, like, the ones without the arch? Down below. Maybe. Okay. Let's see. You build. Start with the important steps. Okay, compiles. Therefore, we say ship it. Okay. Go click, 872. So we probably need to do the, let's see, terminal. Then I need to do this projects, dollar, foo, right, there's S. Okay, and then I need this thingamabobber. Then I want oh, there's no good side to put me on. We'll put me now. Then that will get me. Oh, you cannot do // for the MSI file correctly. Then this should give me useful log file that I can now look at. Okay. This we go to. There we go. The argument of check path control in the install scope. The installer, so the parameter passed to check path is invalid. See? Was that so hard, Wix? That's all I wanted. Again, I realize Wix is just surfacing the Windows installer garbage, but it's still annoying. Okay, so, and then naturally, check path is not in here at all. That's exciting. Come back here. Are you in here? Where is check path defined? Someone has check path defined, and they aren't telling me. It's probably this action here. Wix UI validate path. I bet you that is what is calling check path. So if we come back here, this, quite what I'm go here, check path, and explain to me how check path works. Well, that's not real helpful. The argument of the check path controls the event on dialect. Who is invalid? Oh, look at that. Errors.txt. Well, now, this seems like something I want to bookmark. That is incredibly helpful. There's a text file with literally it's like having the answer key. The messages are provided here in English only because they can be informative and time-saving during development. 100%. Okay, this goes into my notes as well-known secret thingy. Full air codes. Boy, that is shockingly useful. Okay. Now, so check path is something that is clearly not invoked by so that is coming up from a lower level. Parse application extension element path, because I didn't specify this. Go back and look at that log again. Let's see. Property change. So invoking remote custom action. Blah, blah, blah. Entry point validate path. Attempt to enable all disabled privileges. Blah blah blah. Property change. Wix UI install valid property. Its value is 0. So it did not set appropriately. And it's probably in. Let's see. Dialog created, did all of that. sh get folder path, returned blah blah blah. These look like these are all the well-known folder paths. Air setting program files folder 2727. Let's just look at our new favorite friend. You're gonna sit over here. 2727. What are those? Directory entry does not exist in the directories table. Okay. We might need to pop Orca open and take a look at it. So I grab Orca. People unfamiliar with Orca, this is something you get in the Windows Development SDK, I believe. And it's basically just a nice little viewer because MSIs are just databases. So oftentimes being able to crack the sucker open, treat it like a little old Access database and rock and roll on it can be quite helpful. So go. Okay, so install folder current, where you can start to see where everything ends up landing. Okay. So specifically, it said program files folder. So error setting path programs file folder, common files folder, common files 64 folder. All users property value is 1. So it did that. Doing action Wix validate path x64. So it got that far. So that so it got at least as far as do action. But the question is, did it have everything set? But by the time it got there, did this need to be set first? How does it know which path to validate? It must be looking for one of these. Let's change the order of this. Let's go 6 here. Go 7, 8. We need some terminals. Yep, and then we unlock because it locks the file. Orca, lovely piece of software that clearly hasn't seen many updates in a while. Okay, and then we're going to come back here, and if I remember right, it doesn't blow away the install log file. Manually blow it away. C 872 2872 argument to the check path. Air setting paths program folder. The arguments are install scope dialog blank. So it's not getting a valid value. I don't know where the invocation is. So we know we got to the property change all users. We know we got through there. Air setting program files x64. I wonder. Let's just to eliminate some variables. Let me try the other half of the radio button. Make sure that it's not. Okay. I assume I get the same sort of output. Slightly different. Let's see here. Modifying WinApx folder. Current values per machine. It changed it to per user. So that worked successfully. I believe. Gets me into here. Wrong thing. Here. The Wix app. Fatal error. Check path. Modified. Costing complete. Select message. Hidden text style view failed. There's actually multiple errors higher up. 2898. 2898. Text style, the system created a font in character set. Okay, so that seems to be a system created a Tahoma font, 0 character set. Let's see. 2898. What's 2888? 888. Executing the view failed. Let's see. Action ended. Doing action fatal error. Blah, blah, blah. See. Let's see. Where did we end? So a whole bunch of settings, app new, modify. Nice that it dumps all of these out. Install folder did not get changed. Target dir is C:. So this is kind of what I was seeing and what I was expecting to see get changed. That's what that's functionally what I am missing here. Is I was expecting to see so this guy here, Validate path. So what does this do? Let's do some spelunking here. So since check path doesn't give me back much, what does this give me back? Those are the use cases of it. Here's the test for it. Target path, end dialog, do action, UI, validate path, blah, 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 blah. But how do it know? Somewhere it gets this string and it knows that it's supposed to validate. Customize UI. Yeah. Fine, but that doesn't actually give me anything in terms of how this works. Lots of hardware testing day before my training course week. Ooh. Good luck, Izzy. Hopefully you have a clean one. I'm highly motivated to try to get this MSI stuff in and done, so I'm probably gonna end up spending a bunch of time coding on this. So expect to see changes. If anybody's wanting to follow progress, the MSI branch out on the Velopack repo will have it. Obviously, the repo I'm testing in is private, but ultimately I'm copying all my work into there. So have a good one, Izzy. Uh, um, it surprises me that this is all that I am seeing for this validate path. Where does this come from? Someone has to. Cool, Izzy. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Like this is, I feel like I am slowly dissecting the inner workings of Wix, and it's non-trivial. That takes me back to that same place. Where? Why do I feel like there should be a this one here on 543? Validate path. I wonder if this, because there's the binary ref. I bet you this is the actual method. Ah ha 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 ha. Now we find the usefulness. Common platform. Ah ha 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 ha. This is where it comes from. There's the DLL entry point. There's the vocation. Okay, so it's going to be something akin to that. Ah, this makes slightly more sense. Then this is probably the method here. Got it. So it is expecting the Wix UI installer as the property that it's looking for. See, not that hard. Let me confirm. Is that true in this version? Yes. Wix UI installer is the property that it expects to find. Okay. See, all we had to do was go finding the source code of the method, understand how to invoke it properly. So by the time we get here, we need Wix UI installer set. Now, think I think what I actually want to set is this property here. I think. Let's see. Doo-doo. Then we'll clear this out, save, launch. We're going to go next, current user. Get the same error, but let's see. Property change, deleting Wix. Wait. Current value is installer. Wait a minute. Deleting the property does not sound like what I want. Property change, modifying Wix app folder. Why? Yeah, so the install scope being invalid, I think, is an artifact of this thing being here. Why would it property change deleting Wix UI installer? What did I do? Because this thing. Assembly, blah, blah, blah. Install folder. I guess the question then is, what did I change from here where I had the installer dialog? Because this guy here, I'll make that larger. Was calling set target path, Wix UI installer order 1. That was definitely happening early. And then validate path was happening order 2. So that makes it seem very simplistic. If this was the sum total of what was happening before, and this, that would strongly hint to me that what I need to do is this. This is all it was doing before, and it was doing it early in the process. But I would like effectively this line here, right? That is identical. Yep. Set target path value. So set target path Wix UI installer, but what set the Wix UI installer? Making an assumption that that's where it needs to be set, but maybe it needs to like so let's hold on, let's try something a little. Rather than this, let's go grab these lines here. maybe I'm not reading this quite right. I was reading these as setting the property. The previous thing wasn't setting a property, it was just setting the target path. Where would set target path get its value? Like, let's find that function. I will learn the Wix. That is not useful. So let's go here. Back. I don't want to tab. I can hold on to it. So set target path. Might be there, but I'm looking for the mapping because there will be a mapping just like we found on the other one that maps one thing into the other. Here, modularize command. Set target path. I set target path. I think it's going to be this guy. Let's see. Required field 0. Folder. I set target path. Not in here anywhere. Oh, this might be out native. Oh, this is a Win32 API that it is calling out to. See if this link is even valid still. Oop. Let's see. That's the full path to the designated folder on the installation target drive. In memory directory table. Changes the path specification for the directory in the memory directory table. The properties affected. Got it. So that is a native call. But more importantly, is it is expecting to read from those properties. There is still a question I have in my mind of where the dialog set that. Let's see. Install dir dialog. So it sets that property. Okay, so the dialog sets that property. Then this thing called set properties. So, because I don't have that, I need this guy set this property based upon the, and then I need to call set target path with the property in question. Yep, I think that's where that goes. So I installed her, so that sets there. That gets me to 6. Then check path 7. I think we're gonna just do. Yeah. that, what happens after that? Okay, try this again. Orca got it locked. Nope. That gets me to there. Then once again, we're just whack the contents of that, switch terminals, up arrow, enter. Get this, next. Next. Two. Down. Property changed. Current value is Zalder. So deleting the property. Why does it do that? This is control folder. Type path edit. Have no, not have in there. I just want. How do I do this? That's the wrong. That's the wrong. Okay, so property change, deleting Wix install properties. So what if we just dial this down a little bit? And what if get rid of these? Then what if do this, get rid of the condition, and we just do set the value. Right, so on next, order 5, set the Wix install value. Let's see if that shows the, like, I'm wondering if because there's 2, I'm not understanding how those conditions work. Let's validate those. This is actually not a bad lesson for debugging when you don't know what you is validate what you think you know on how the thing is working. Same error. Do we see? So we still get deleting there. Okay. If I get rid of the assignment completely, do I still see the? Let's. I think that line is probably the one that's triggering that deletion, but I would like to make sure that I am actually understanding that properly. Same error. I don't see the deletion line, but we are still getting some of these, and the we are getting an empty thing here. I am wondering if under the do action, there is, if I scroll down to set mode, set target path. You know what? The other thing we haven't tried is asking my AI overlord. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's do this. Then Copilot. Control I. Okay. This is resulting in error code. Don't think UI installed is properly set. See. Issues that Wix is not being properly initialized before. Really? You think that's the problem? Okay. Now, because we don't ever trust our AI overlords, we check their answer. So in the advanced one, there is a property being declared Wix UI installer down lower and being set to application folder. Oh. Is that how it works? Okay. So close. We're going to give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll do this. And then if that is, okay, so I'm wondering if installer is being pointed at a property value. And if that's the case, then that would explain why this was going to application folder. I think this is where we ran into the collision name. Duplicate property with identifier. Global library file section cannot prevent these conflicts. Ensure all you identify. I am wondering if that is the problem. Okay, let's give this a try. 'Cause I am thinking now that the issue so install level, so we're down at least as far as 233. Let's see. Next, failure. Okay. But where was this Wix UI installer reference? This exists in advance, but I'm not referencing advance. So how would it know? How would it know which one I intend to use? What did I reference at the UI common? The UI ref I have in there. Which makes me wonder. Those ones go there. So this guy, get property, blah blah blah, does the stuff. For Wix UI, dialog set that require it, blah blah blah. Because it's being set by those two dialogues, either browse or installer. Yeah, there's something I'm missing something very simple. Publish event, set target path. I installed dir, no license. So this is the sample test for effectively the documentation that shows you how to drop out the license dialog. But I am wondering, this is expecting to set a value for a property that's already there. Because I believe the square braces says read the property value and put it in there. I think is what that does. But do we actually, so if that's the case, don't we already have, don't we already have properties? I'm kind of wondering, can I just use this? Set the target path, but that's going to set the target path, but that won't fix the check path. Because the check path from above expects the other property to be set already. Because this guy here, validate path, expects that to be set. But if I do this and just turn off the check, this should set my target path to the per user path, and then the thing should work. I think. The check is going to fail, but in theory it should install to a per user location. See if that actually plays out the way. Let's check assumption. So it doesn't matter what radio button you pick. Oh, interesting. 2872 again. We got a 2872 even without the... Oh, interesting. So we got that error. We got that error even without... So it must be this that's doing that set target path. So let's check that. I think that's the case. That. Next. Oh, next doesn't go anywhere now. Um, this should... For user folder. So I guess the question is, make this order like, I don't know, 50, far enough back that it doesn't matter. So that should at least allow us to get to the next dialogue. But I'm curious what properties end up getting set to. All right, so here, next. So it set up and installed, but it's probably just gonna go to the wrong place. Back. It's just installed to C:, which I think if I look down here, what I expect is that my target directory didn't get changed, which is why it's still there. Yeah, so target directory didn't get updated because I didn't call set target directory, so not a shock. So it didn't change, so I installed there instead. But the per machine folder, application folder name, installer. So what I am looking for is the property I think exists for, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe I am making this. Oh, I bet you. Oh, I wonder if that's the issue. I am making the assumption that these properties exist and they don't. Okay, so okay, so these things, all of these custom actions, I'm assuming get fired. But these are not going to be fired, right? Like this guy here, what invokes this action? Because if I look in my installer, right, and I go custom action, right, these custom actions don't exist. So I don't have these. So the fact that I don't have these is problematic, I believe, and I need these. Does the order of properties matter? It kind of does, JC. So take what I'm going to say with a grain of salt because I am not an expert here. But the order attribute on them, like, so when you declare things in XML for Wix, because an MSI is effectively just like, you can think of it like an Excel spreadsheet or an Access database, it's just tables with values. And so the order in the XML doesn't matter as much, but like this order here definitely dictates ordering. Right? Because when the MSI is executed, the order in which things are pulled out is driven by this. So order in the XML, not as important as the order attribute. Again, take it with a grain of salt. That is based upon my cursory understanding. I think I need all this. And this would go here. We're setting installer after Wix installer. Oh. Installer after Wix. Maybe I'm missing where you saw that. I think. Oh, not in this file. Because this one here is actually out in the Wix repo, and it's where these custom actions getting triggered, I think, is what I am functionally missing. Something has to invoke these custom actions. And it's oh. So the before and after kind of functions similar to how they do an MS build. So there may not be a direct reference. This just gets injected into the this gets injected as part of the steps. So this would require application folder to be set, which is what this would be doing. So I should, so as long, okay. So as long as I've got that, and I've got application folder being set, we'll deal with the rest of this here in a moment. But I think this builds, that probably gets me pretty close. Okay. I should probably hit save before I build anything because that's kind of important. Yeah. Not saving is very important. Duplicate. Okay, so I think let's just change the IDs on these because I know they aren't getting added. Pack. Gonna prefix all of them. Technically, one of the steps is to do it. And I want Velopack on my clipboard, please. And there. Oh, that already has it. Checking the values on each of these. Okay. Because I think the key injection is this before cost finalize, because that is what is one. There's a page that outlines the stages of close my there is the execution sequence. Is that what it's called? Sequence. This thing here, and if you sort by the ID number here, this is where things get put in, injected. So when you see before cost finalize, means it's going to come in at a number before 1000. And as far as I can tell, what this means is take this before number and subtract until you are in front of it. At least as far as I can tell. That seems to be the way the values come out of it. Okay, so now I'm kind of curious to look at this thing here. Do I see? Aha, now I see the sequence guys being added. Okay. Okay. Now let's give this a try. Is that the secret sauce I've been missing? Next. Oh! Okay. Well, it installed to the wrong place, so that's not a good thing. But that is probably due to the not calling set target path. So if we come down here, though, what we should find is something related to the per user property. Property change, adding per user folder property. Boom, boom, boom. That looks like a per user property. Per machine property. That looks straight up wrong. So that's exciting. Change application folder to be here. That's, and then doing action cost finalize, blah 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 blah. It does the needful, and then target dir is still here. Okay, so we've got a couple. Okay, now we're cooking with fire. Okay, this makes me feel better. So this guy here is relying on application folder name to be specified. Property ref, application folder name. That doesn't exist. Come up here. This is just being set to application folder name. That's not real helpful. So let's make it something a little more meaningful. Boom. Okay. So that will make the name be more meaningful. Now, per machine, prized the Wix per machine folder. So bad. Oh, this is local programs. So that's just probably not the one that I want. And instead, I would like the value that was here. I want this directory instead. So I want that, and I'll leave myself a note to both on. There's special ones, and when we copy it over to the Velopack repo, we've got a 64-bit flag that I can turn area on. But for now, hard code is fine. Note for later though. Okay, and then these are just the conditions under which they're going to be applied. Those are fine. Okay, so this before cost finalize is the kicker to be able to get us in. These things do the needful. That should fix that directory. Everyone's happy. This is probably to check path because that slash apps is not correct. Most of these variables that I've seen in Wix end in a trailing slash, which is why you don't see anything here. So for better or worse, that is how they tend to exist. Okay, so that gets us to there. Now we come back to here. Now I think we can actually start bringing this stuff back in. The interesting part is I can't invoke this yet. And the reason I say I can't invoke it is because this whole setup bit that's going to happen is going to occur here. Well, but hold on, is that a problem? Pack set default. Let's go back to here. Because it set up all of these things, adding application folder. But it's a different thing, or like React. Yeah, so this is specifically so this is Wix installer, and specifically what I am looking to do here, I'll just clarify for, actually we can do this. Velopack is I'm one of the founders of said company. And the idea here is a very fast and easy installation, specifically cross-language, cross-platform, which is not usually seen in most places. But the idea is that you can go through and build an installer, quick and easy like, but for Windows, people like MSIs. Yeah, we're getting a UI out of this, but the UI is kind of accidental. Most of why we're doing this is because sysadmins and similar really, really like MSIs. They feel more secure. It's not just an arbitrary exe that's going to be able to run things. It's a database that they can look and they can see the components and they know exactly what's going to be applied and what's not and that kind of thing. So I'm playing on a branch right now, but the idea being that after you run VPK pack, you tack on a --MSI. In addition to the regular installer stuff that it'll generate, it'll also generate one of these MSIs for you. So obviously MSI is Windows specific. It doesn't work cross-platform. This is mostly around people building Windows apps really want that kind of feature. So if you're building a cross-platformy thing, it's probably not that relevant to you. But the setup exe, at least at present, doesn't expose you a way to install all user. It installs current user only. Um, after after this branch merges, you technically could abuse the setup exe because there's a command line flag you could pass to say install into a different location. It's kind of cheating, but it would end up functionally working that way. It's not really a supported scenario, but after my branch merges, then the setup exe is hip to handling permissions and elevation and that kind of thing. So it gets kind of complicated when you want an app to self-update and it's installed inside of a protected directory like and program files, because you need to be able to download the updated package. You need to then elevate yourself to be able to apply the package because you need a right to the protected directory. And then you want to restart the app, but not in an elevated context. So it's kind of a fun bait and switch maneuver to try to do all of those things and have it work nicely. So really, the fact that this MSI has a UI is kind of somewhat accidental. A big portion of it, though, is people wanting on Windows to be able to have an all users install rather than just a current user install, which is what you get with the exe. So this is kind of killing two birds with one stone. So making sysadmin people happier, and giving an option for people who want an all users install solution as well. We may put a UI inside of the exe at some point, but once we do that, like we're gonna do the UI in a cross-platform way, because that setup installer is expected to be usable on Linux, Mac, and Windows, and so um, we may end up using Tori or something of that nature. But we're also trying to be cautious of not growing the size of the installer too much, because if you build a tiny little app that's 3 meg, you don't want to slap on a 20 meg installer on top of it. Like that's kind of so, because part of Velopak's promise is to be small, fast, um, and so we don't want to do something that's going to make it less small and less fast without good reason. But yeah, so that's that. So I am kind of down in the weeds of how the MSI is going to be built inside of Velopak. Uh, but if all you're looking to do is create an installer and ship your app, check out Velopak. If you have problems, we love to handle stuff on the Discord, so feel free to reach out. Okay, so this goes here. I wish I knew at which point this ran, because I kind of want to set target dir. The hard part is if the target directory is invalid, I guess we don't care, do we? We don't really care that much, because we're not allowing a picker. We could just send it, right? Um, I think so. I think so. Um, because this executes immediately. Let me pop this open because I kind of want to look at the order of operations here. Let's see. So order by sequence number. So oh, so these things are actually set before we actually get to. Well, where's the connection between this and the UI sequence? If I look at this thing here. Ba-ba-bum. Cost initialize, cost finalize. So these guys all get set. So these are all run prior to even hitting the welcome dialog. Oh. Wait a minute. Where is the... I should have an install scope dialog in this list, shouldn't I? Am I missing it? Oh, no, the welcome dialog is the entry point. Does the welcome dialog change the other ones together? Oh. Oh. There's the individual components. Full event. Yeah. Event. Where's the set dialog? That target path. Right now it's just that one. Okay. That one doesn't go. Okay. So these things should. Okay. So this should already be set by the time we get down here. So I should be able to do this with set target path, and I should be able to set it at this point, the application folder, because that should already be applied. Okay, let's try this again. And then we're going to remember that Orca locks the file because reasons. That's building. We're going to go clear that guy out. We're going to run with logging so we can get useful output. We're going to install all. Oh, shoot. 2872. Dang it. 2872. So, application folder, its value is current value, app data local, and it was switched over to app data programs. Seems weird since I thought I had changed that to not behave that way. Per machine folder. Didn't I change that? Something is still setting it incorrectly, but regardless. Yeah, something is setting that incorrectly. But we will run that down in a moment. That doesn't quite concern me as much. Well, it does concern me because without that assignment properly, it does have my Wix per machine folder there. Wix per machine folder, program files x64 folder, which should be a very different thing. Let's see here. All users, application folder, condition. Let's see here. Why that target path? Oh, so this is not actually reporting them in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then new dialogue, but we failed out here. right? And then see, so set all of those up, change the all users property. Comms folder, error setting path. I wonder if because it had an error setting property change application folder. Interesting, these errors occur first and then we get this one. So it set the application folder. Right, and that looks correct-ish, aside from the fact that it's wrong. Let's blow this away and try it one more time, this time with the current user. Let's close Orca. And then try it one more time. Go, next, current user, next, error. Realize it's off screen. Drag it there. 2872, yep, finish. The 2872. Its current value is X machine. Current user. Install scope dialog. So it's not. Let's see here. Let's just ask the AI words. Call set path here. The value is blank, but I see application folder properly set in my logs. Is being called before, is properly resolved. I mean, we can do this. This just doesn't make sense to me that I need to do this. I think the AI is an idiot, is what I think. But I have also learned that I should at least, as the amateur programmer that it is who has memorized the docs, I've learned that it's worth at least giving it a mild amount of credence because yeah, it's wrong. Because sometimes it can be correct. Its current value is per machine. Its new value is current user flow. So it modified the property. And then we drop down. It's interesting that I don't see. Do I see the all users? Because I see one of these things being set. Something up above. Like I've killed off all of these. The all user. Do we see all users being set in the log? Let's see. That is the only change. It, interesting. Maybe I don't understand ordering properly because it is acting as though things are happening out of order. The unfortunate part is this guy here, which is the one that I was basing it on, effectively occurs first because this is set well, because I guess I'm making an assumption on the order of operations here, right? Of next property. But let's ask the AI overlords. In what order are publish events execute? Specifically, the order of ones that specify event property. Extra points if you cite your source. The order attribute. That's what I thought. The order of attribute, all behaviors execute the order they appear in the XML. Right? Lore numbers are executed first. Great. Execution is undefined. Are treated same in order. The order attribute. Attributes. Oh, so it's evaluated the conditions for order 4. So let's see. Let's see. Event set target indicates the type of action to perform. The set target path event is set the installation target directory. Good. The value attribute application folder specifies the value to assign during this event. Application folder is a Wix property that typically represents a folder where the application was installed. In summary, the line does it pass literal string application folder, or does it pass the value stored in that property? Can't see all the stuff. The code passes in Wix installer XML properties. If you wanted, oh boy. Sometimes the formatting of this is horrible. Okay. Close. Let's see here. Try this again. Does this pass literal string application folder? Or does it pass the value stored in that property? So it claims the code passes the value stored in the application, not the literal string. Okay. It resolves the value of the property at runtime. Blah blah blah. That's interesting because that kind of tracks, but it also uh, doesn't. I wonder if I move it further down. What if rather than doing it here, we do it here? I'm confused because this doesn't have a next registered to it, and so I'm kind of curious as to how that actually works. So if we back this guy up, really now it's just coming down to this idea of how can I specify the value. Sorry, what was the name of that thing? Verify ready dialog. Verify ready dialog. Let's see, type push button, blah, blah, blah. So it has various install ones. And publish event, end dialog, spawn dialog, end dialog. So it handles all of these built in depending on where it's at. Because it knows if it's all users or not. And this is why I want to make sure those get set. Can we but how does it know? This is going to pass in application folder name. This runs early. This sets up per user folder, execute immediately. This already has all of this set. So I'm back down to the idea of why can I not just blindly do this? If I bring this guy up here, I don't think you're doing a darn thing. But why can I not just do this? And wire this guy in here, because that property should be long since set by the time we get there. I'm gonna try this, and we're just gonna hard code our way into current user. Okay, so next, click the box just so everything lines up. Errors. Why are you unable? Install scope dialog is invalid. Because this thing here, like per user folder, was already set, wasn't it? Property change, per user folder. Yeah, it's already set up. So why? This property exists. So this guy is set here. This guy is set up here. Why does it do? clearly has that set up. There's the per machine. There's the per user. Those are both configured. Why can I not call set target path without an error? Let's take a quick gander at something isn't jiving for me here. When I do set target path, what does is it expecting 2 parameters passed in? Directory value. There. Have I been chasing this whole thing because of a type mismatch? Um, yeah. In Wix, there a special type presenting paths as to set path. I don't remember seeing anything like that. Usually a directory identifier represents a path. Identifiers. Ah. So that's never going to work if it's wanting a directory identifier. Ah. How can I convert a string property identifier? By dynamically setting a property which represents directory path and then in the set target path or other relevant controls. So action property. Set the directory property. Properties. Set custom install directory. So okay, so I'm clearly not understanding something. This is what we're doing. Custom action ID property. We've just got 2 things here. In case we're using application folder. Okay. So this does all of that. Haven't we tried exactly that already? Did I just not try that case? Did I just not try that case and I'm an idiot? Thought we had tried that. Okay, so let's try this again. Next, go current user, just for simplicity's sake. Yeah, so no bueno. All scope dialog. Yeah, the fact that I see the 2 commas there makes me strongly suspect that I'm misunderstanding something. Um, so I'm missing something. Property install directory. Wix per user folder. Use a custom action to set the property dynamically to a directory path, for example. Okay. Then on the published dialog, set target path. Sample workflow. So but this is what I have, right? I've got a custom action, install sequence, install execute, install execute sequence, for cost finalize, that custom installer, that here. For user folder. And so down here, if I follow this thing through, is this use property installer mapped up to a property there? I'm just confused as to how this worked. I installed her. Do I still have the test open? The test around this. I'm curious if there is. Let's see. No license. Yeah. So how did this one get set up? This one got set up. Install directory. It's pointed to install folder, which maps to here. Right, and so this guy down here, Wix install dir. So set target path is setting up that guy there. That one there is being set because this is what validate requires. Because that's what validate requires. that target path is set to a different property that I believe is set inside of dialog itself, which means that like this should work, right? Like they're missing. That's being set to a property that is controlled by the dialog, because unlike the other one, this is being set to Wix UI installer, which is just changing the Wix UI property. Not like Wix UI installer exists outside of this, right? Browse property is bound to it as well, but there's all the use right there. There's nothing extra inside of this. So if that is I'm not understanding something. That build? I must be misunderstanding something here. Next, there, next. No, see that one, that also fails. So something is not appropriately set up. I am grossly misunderstanding whatever it is. This is install folder here. Install folder. And I have a feeling this is passing back through, but I would be passing the same value back through there. Oh. That the problem? Do I have a mismatch in my names? Oh, I wonder if I have a mismatch in my name. Was it install folder or installed there in my old one? Oh, folder. Okay. I wonder, was that the limiting factor there? Is that there wasn't a matching directory ref, so therefore it fails? No, not it. 872. Confirming blanks there. So that didn't change. At least not from there. Um, well, shoot. It's getting close to midnight, and I might need to go and crash because sleep is important. Okay. Work in progress. Stage all. Mid. I'll push this for now, just because it's something useful for me to go through and look at. But with that, I think I am probably going to sign off. I'm hoping to get my YouTube upload stuff fixed up this weekend. So, who are watching this on YouTube, sorry it took so long. I apologize. My automation broke. Blame Google. And so now I have to fix it. So, hopefully, it won't take too long and I'll get all of those published. But with that, I'll tell everybody happy coding. For anybody watching Velopack for this, I'm sorry. It's coming soon as I can figure this stuff out. If anybody has tips, I'm always happy to hear them. With that, happy coding. See everyone next time.